Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we talk about nerd news that has dropped in the last week since our last show, and tell you all about some of the things that are happening in, or will be happening in the nerd community, generally related to nerd entertainment. I am Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber on Facebook and Instagram. I'm first person shooter, mostly as a cosplay photographer. Burley underscore adopter on Twitter and a couple of other places, doing some other things. And tonight we, as turns out, have a pretty packed roster of things to talk about. I'm solo tonight, so we'll probably get through it pretty quickly, but I'm guessing we're looking like a 40-minute show here. And most of that, I'll say much of that, dropped in the last 24 hours. Quite a lot of bits of news happened really recently. So we're going to be getting to those right away. In the meantime, if you are interested in making any comments in our comment section on YouTube, on Twitch, or on Facebook Live, which is where we stream our stuff, more than happy to have you comment about the stuff itself, comment about what I think or say about it. Oh, gosh. Luminous, why didn't you mention that? Welcome to the show, Luminous, over there on YouTube. And Luminous says, and this is a reference to last night's No Nerd Caliber show. By the way, my worst time travel story is Peggy Sue Got Married, not one killer robot in the whole movie. But you had Nicolas Cage demonstrating full-on Nicolas Cage for probably the first time in his young career. So, you know, it's a balance. Great. Man, I wish you had suggested that last night. Anyway, so yeah, like Luminous, if you have anything to say about what we're talking about here, feel free to weigh in. Before we get into our first topic, we are going to do our first promo. And that is, please, if you are someone who has a Twitch account, follow us on Twitch. Our URL is right there at the bottom of the screen in front of you right now, twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. Spoiler, pretty much everything is /nerdcaliber on any social media or other kind of platform you can think of. So it's pretty easy to find us wherever you want to. And we are on almost all of them, including one that I just literally created an account for and only to follow friends who are good at this stuff, TikTok. Nerd Caliber is on TikTok and has been for over a year now. Not this guy. Until last night. Anyway, we are going to jump into our first topic. And our first topic is a very sad one. This is a scene from the first movie I ever noticed him in. William Hurt died at the age of 71. While it's not confirmed that this was the cause of death, it was announced back in 2018 that he had terminal prostate cancer. So one would assume that it was, in fact, prostate cancer that did him in. Now, most people know these days, they know him as, right there, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU version of that character, going all the way back to The Incredible Hulk. But in addition to Altered States, which, by the way, is a trip of a movie, if you've not seen it, go watch it. The special effects are weird enough that they kind of sort of still hold up. He was, of course, also in Lost in Space, the movie version of that, and did an excellent job there. This is from a movie I've not seen, but it is definitely nerdy. The Host, based on a book by Stephanie Meyer, obviously of the Twilight fame, but it's about an alien or parasite, essentially, that has developed a relationship with people who become its hosts. Prior to that, he was Duke Leto in the TV miniseries version of Dune. Anybody remember that? One of the better things about that whole series. I could not find anywhere a high resolution image of him as Detective Bumstead from the classically underappreciated Dark City. Another movie came out the same year as Blade Runner. If you haven't seen Dark City, go find it right now. It's absolutely amazing. One of the best movies of the 1980s period, and certainly of that year. But I also, and this one I completely forgot about until I was reading his CV. He was in Steven Spielberg's AI, and did an excellent job in that, as he does in everything. This was one of his later roles. He was in Robin Hood, the Ridley Scott version with Russell Crowe. He won an Academy Award for a absolutely non-nerd piece of entertainment. And that was, I want to make sure I get the name right, Broadcast News. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He won the Academy Award for Kiss of the Spider-Woman. But he was nominated for Broadcast News. All right, I've got that all wrong. He was nominated for Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Children of a Lesser God, and Broadcast News. He won as Best Supporting Actor for History of Violence, which I guess technically could be considered nerdy. I should have picked an image from that because it's based on a graphic novel. And then so many, early on, non-nerdy movies, Body Heat, The Big Chill, one of my favorites of his, Gorky Park. Just fantastic actor, amazing roles. I'm going to give you not really my brush with greatness with William Hurt, because it actually happened to a couple of buddies of mine, a couple of very good friends I grew up with. So I grew up in western Maine, right across the border from the resort towns of Conway and North Conway, New Hampshire. Two of my buddies, Rick and Brian, worked for Fly Tire magazine, which in the early and mid-'80s was the magazine for fly fishermen to teach them how to tie new and innovative flies, or classics, or whatever. Rick did most of the computer work and layout, and Brian was an artist doing most of the drawings of the flies when they needed pen and ink image. I believe the boss, the publisher, was his name was Dick. They used to play a game whenever anybody would come walking up to the offices, which was in a little log cabin kind of building right off of the North Conway Strip, just north of the actual downtown North Conway. Whenever anybody would come walking up into it, if they looked vaguely like anybody, whoever saw him first would say to the other one, like, "Oh, look, Johnny Carson's coming in." It's like, "Oh, look, Sting is coming in." So at one point, Brian sees this guy walking in, and he says to Rick, "Oh, look, John Hurt is coming in, the actor for Alien and so on." And Rick kind of looks over, and he looks at the guy, and he looks at him, and he says, "Oh, yeah, no. You meant that this guy looks like William Hurt. William Hurt is coming in." So the guy walks in, walks right over to Dick's desk, which is all in open space, and says, "Hi, I'm William Hurt." And it really was. William Hurt, as it turns out, was apparently a dedicated fly fisherman, at least for a while. Absolutely loved the magazine, was a subscriber. So not really so much my brush with greatness with William Hurt. Condolences to his family that survives, and all of the friends and all the people that worked with him that really loved him. He's a big loss for the movie industry in general. The television, he was nominated for an Emmy twice. I think he was nominated for a Tony even. So, for all kinds of acting entertainment, it's a big loss. R.I.P. Mr. William Hurt. So, moving on to things that are so diametrically opposed to the seriousness and gravitas of William Hurt's body of work. It was just announced this week that the sequel to the manga Ikitosan, called Shin Ikitosan, will be getting an actual anime adaptation that will release this coming May, which is a little weird because it's not releasing in a standard seasonal format. The first episode releases early, March 20 something, 27th, I think. So at the end of this month. And then the rest of the series picks up in May. So March 27th, yeah. Then it starts May 17th. So Ikitosan is a battle anime, shonen in that sense, except all of the fighter main characters are girls or young women, mostly high school girls. And like Queen's Blade, it pretty much involves most of their costumes getting destroyed during fights. I can tell you what the backstory is. It involves most of the participants in this somehow having the possession of spirits of famous warriors from China's Three Kingdoms period. Yeah, that's not what you're here for. You're here for big fights that result in lots of fan service. The original, if you manage to get the uncensored, are all remakes in Japan now called Shin. Well, I didn't realize this. I thought it was like Shine, or some version of that, which means die. It's Shin means new. So Shin Godzilla just means new Godzilla. Shin Ikitosan means battle vixens. So this literally the name of the manga and the new anime is new battle vixens, because there are some new characters being introduced in this. Now, the original adaptation actually had 5 different series or seasons of anime that made it out of just that first volume of manga of Ikitosan. So this is the actual first adaptation of the sequel manga. And again, nobody needs to know all that. If you want to watch, really well animated fights of, gorgeous gals beating each other up until their clothes fall off, there you go. I am assuming it is going to wind up airing on Crunchyroll, because that's where everything goes now, unless Amazon or Netflix picks it up. But it doesn't say here in this article where we'll be able to see it, or if we'll be able to see it actually this coming May in the United States. Right now it just lists where in Japan it's going to be airing in those periods. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. It is exactly what I just described. Super fan service, super ecchi, battle, shonen anime. All right. This is, of course, a screen grab from the fantastic Super Mario Brothers movie, the live-action version. And the news doesn't really have anything to do with that movie, but it does have to do with Mario, Luigi, and all kinds of other characters from Nintendo. Universal Studios is announced that its first Super Nintendo World outside of Japan, which will be at Universal Studios Hollywood, will open 2023. It is already under construction. It doesn't say anything here about whether or not they will be expanding that to... no, it does. It doesn't say when, though. Universal Studios Orlando will also get a Super Nintendo World. If you haven't seen anything about this, I can recommend the YouTube channel The Anime Man, AN1ME, Joey, The Anime Man. And if you go search through his catalog of videos, he and his fiance went to the Super Nintendo World in Japan sometime in the last 6 months or so, as I recall. And it's pretty cool. They geeked out hard. And, the Japanese version has an awful lot of staff, Super Nintendo World interactive staff and so on, trying to help you, guide you through, this whole thing. I don't know whether the one in the United States is going to be like that. That's really a Japanese or Korean sort of thing. But, we'll see what it looks like when it finally opens up. Sometime in 2023, folks, is when you have to wait for it, and then you have to fly out to Hollywood. at some point after that. I'm going to say 2025. You might see it or you will see it some point after 2023 in Orlando. So I'm kind of bummed that it wasn't there when I took my son down there many, many years ago, well over a decade ago, because he would have loved it. But yeah, go to Hollywood, folks, if you're into this. If it's anything like the one in Japan that I've seen the videos of, it's pretty cool, pretty innovative. All right, this is Mason Alexander Park playing the non-binary character Gren in the live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop. One of the better things about that adaptation, even though the treatment of the character was completely wrong, they were very good in their portrayal. The news here is that Park and 2 other people have been named to the cast of the upcoming Quantum Leap sequel, remake, reboot. They keep calling it all sorts of different things depending upon what particular media venue you're reading this on, that's coming to NBC or Peacock, I would assume soon, this fall. So Caitlin Bassett, Nanrissa Lee, and Park. We all know, we talked about last week that Ernie Hudson is joining as one of the 2 leads, and Raymond Lee had been named as the primary lead quite a while before that. So we've got Bassett will be a project lead at the Quantum Leap headquarters, which is working on this quantum technology of time travel. Lee will play Jen, head of security. And Park will play Ian, the chief architect of the artificial intelligence program that runs the time travel technology. Oh yeah, and I forgot that Park is also going to be in The Sandman coming up, the Netflix series. So just another reason why this is looking better and better. I love the addition of Ernie Hudson, and I really like. I don't know anything about the other 2, but Park I really liked in Cowboy Bebop. I thought that was a very good performance. So looking forward to that. All right, folks. This, I mean, it makes sense, but that, of course, is Aquaman and the Flash from some scene from, I don't know which version of Justice League. Might have been in both, might have been in the original, might have been the Snyder Cut. Who knows? The news here is that Warner Brothers has announced that a whole slew of its movies that were planned to come out in 2022, or one that was supposed to come out in 2023, have been moved. Most of them pushed off, and I mean way off. So, one of the ones that only moved a little bit, DC League of Super Pets, which we've talked about recently. It had its recent Batman trailer debut last week, or before last show, so 2 weeks ago, has moved from May 20th of this year to July 29th. So it's just jumping forward a couple of months. But The Flash is moving from November 4th of this year all the way into the summer of 2023, June 23rd of 2023. 8 months. Aquaman sequel is moving from December 16th of this year to March 17th of 2023. It's not a huge jump, 4 months, but still. Wonka, which you recall was the prequel Willy Wonka story, goes from March 17th, 2023 all the way to December 15th of 2023. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, the Shazam sequel, moves closer. So apparently this movie is all done from special effects, and special effects is the main reason why most of these are having a problem. Fury of the Gods, the Shazam sequel, is moving from June of next year to December 16th of this year, taking the spot that Aquaman was supposed to be in. And then, this just, I guess it's nerdy, the sequel to the Meg 2, The Trench, has been announced, and a date set for August of 2023. And also, Black Adam is moving from July 29th of this year to October 21st. So, yeah, lots of movement around. After this article first dropped, Deadline updated it, and they say their sources are saying that the primary reason is there's a logjam, as they put it, in the post-production visual effects houses. Because so much stuff had been moved into 2022 because of COVID that they're just backed up with special effects requests left and right. So now, if that means that we get less, bad special effects like the very end of Wheel of Time, I'm fine. I would have taken a delay in Wheel of Time if we got a better ending, but we didn't. And to whatever extent this crunch that is causing special effects houses to get so backed up is responsible for what happened to Wheel of Time, well, at least Warner Brothers is smart enough to say, yeah, our movies are special effects movies, so they're going to get done when they get done. So, folks, I know everybody was looking forward to a lot of these. I was too. I'm still looking forward to them, but I'm more ticked off that they completely changed their 2021 plan of everything having a date release, going HBO Max and theaters to a 45-day exclusive theater. Some of us still aren't really terribly keen about getting into crowded theaters. So, but anyway. All right. Our next topic is we finally know when season 3 of The Umbrella Academy will drop. And it is June 22nd. The Netflix account on Twitter, I believe, put out a little teaser trailer, which doesn't really go into any sort of depth about this upcoming season, which is the conflict between the Umbrella Academy and their alternate universe version, the Sparrow Academy. You get to see a little bit more imagery of the main characters and what they look like and so on, and a few pretty interesting bits. But it was only released in vertical format for best viewing on a phone. So, and I believe, although I couldn't see it in this article, I remember reading somewhere that there was supposed to be a fuller trailer released today. I haven't seen it. You did searches on YouTube and Google News, and it hasn't come up. So I might have misread that. But I'm looking forward to when they do put out a trailer that if I'm watching it on my 27-inch wide screen, one of my two monitors up here, that it's not a little strip down the middle of it. But anyway, very much looking forward to this coming back. I thought the cliffhanger ending that introduced, huge spoiler alert for the end of season 2 of Umbrella Academy, but reveals the existence of Sparrow Academy, was wonderful. And it's like, all right, now I'm excited. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. June 22nd, can't wait. It will be on our Full Fat Spoiler Chat. It'll be, we'll be talking about it. All right, speaking of sequels, that right there is from a commercial that aired promoting the Ryan Reynolds movie Free Guy. And this is, of course, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, who is another Fox property. Free Guy was made by Fox, and was, held up in release because of course, the merger and then COVID and so on. Filmed in Boston. And next to him is Korg from the Disney MCU movie Thor Ragnarok, Korg being played by Taika Waititi, who is also one of the main characters, the main villain in Free Guy. So with the merger, it made sense for Disney and Fox to make these two come together to talk about the movie that the two actors are in, now that Fox is part of Disney. But Free Guy was the first team up between Ryan Reynolds and director Sean Levy, which continued in the topic of this Thursday's Full Fat Spoiler Chat, the Netflix movie The Atom Project, which is why last night's show was about time travel. Luminous, I wonder if the Umbrella Academy will double its cast with the addition of the Sparrow Academy. I haven't read the Sparrow Academy arc in the comics, so I don't know how that resolves and whether or not they stay as very bitter antagonists. But from what I understand, they're not in any way going to be team members initially. They are antagonists. The conflict is with the Sparrow Academy. How that plays out, again, I've not read it, so I don't know any details about that. And maybe it will play out that way, and that they will, or some of them will join, or there will be a merged team or something like that. But it's a good question. If you know, please don't tell me in the chat, because that'll ruin the fun. The news about that picture of Deadpool is that we now know who is going to be directing Deadpool 3, and surprise, it's Sean Levy. So as Ryan Reynolds put it in his very funny montage photo on his Instagram or Twitter, the trilogy of Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds movies will conclude with Deadpool 3. I think this is great news. I have not seen whether or not Levy can do foul comedy, adult, mature comedy, but boy, he can do Ryan Reynolds comedy. And that's the most important thing. Free Guy is wonderful. If you have not seen that movie, go watch it. It has, and this is another feature of the two of them working together, it has absolute tons and tons of heart. It is at its core a love story, a story about identity. It is a story about corporate greed. It's now earlier today. Finally, the trailer guys, Honest Trailer guys, put out a Free Guy Honest Trailer, and they say, and it's not inaccurate, that they almost talk about class distinction and corporate abuse of working people, in particularly the video game industry, and almost talk about the ethics of artificial intelligence, and they actually do touch on all of that in a hilariously funny comedy about a video game NPC that becomes sentient. The Adam Project, I'm not going to talk about because we're talking about that in the upcoming Full Fat Spoiler Chat. But I can say, without giving anything away, it does not detract from the ability of Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds to make a fun, exciting movie with lots of heart and humor. And so I'm expecting exactly the same thing out of Deadpool 3, and I'm hoping, and they have promised this, that it will be an R-rated movie. So I'm hoping they're not going to, pull back on that. But just the possibilities are endless because it is now an MCU property, or it could become an MCU property. They can't make it a separate X-Men universe property anymore, because that would imply that the X-Men universe is continuing. So how they deal with this, I'm dying to see it. And now knowing that Sean Levy is going to be working with Reynolds to make it, as good as they can make it, yeah, I'm in 100%. Absolutely no information, of course, about when we'll actually see this happen. Apparently the original script written by Wendy Molyneux and Lizzie Molyneux-Logelin has now been reworked by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. And of course, you know that Ryan Reynolds is rewriting as well. He does that, all the time. So yeah, I'm really pumped on this. No idea when it's going to happen. Soon, please. As soon as you can make it, Ryan, get this thing done. All right. The first of what's a few first look trailers, real trailers, is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the story of the Enterprise prior to Kirk under Christopher Pike. And I'm going to throw this in here, and I think we'll actually cover it later on too, but the actor that will be playing I'm assuming in a fairly minor role because he's not actually a member of the crew. Kirk in this upcoming series has been named, and it is, if I can find, Paul Wesley. Definitely looks the part, and he's got some chops. Really quickly, he was in Vampire Diaries. Coming up, he was a director too. Directed some episodes of Roswell, New Mexico, Shadowhunters, Legacies. So he's been involved in that alien / supernatural world of things on mostly the CW. But the trailer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Anson Mount as Christopher Pike, Rebecca Romijn as number 1, Ethan Peck as Spock, coming from Star Trek Discovery. Actually, all of these were in Star Trek Discovery. It is a spin-off of Discovery. Looks really good. It looks absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. There's some implication that you get to see the post accident Pike that appears in his specialized wheelchair in the original series. Luminous, going back to our last topic, excellent. I would even watch Green Lantern 2 if Levy directs. I forgot about this until Honest Trailers pointed it out, that Free Guy was not the first time Taika Waititi and Ryan Reynolds worked together. Taika Waititi played his best friend in Green Lantern. So, thankfully, they were so much better in, or Free Guy was so much better a movie anyway. It looks like there is an older version of Pike, which may be reflecting the way he is introduced in the original series, Star Trek. And if that's the case, it'd be one of those wonderful nods, fan service / reinterpretations that I absolutely love in series like these. As long as they don't break the timeline in any significant way, I'm 100% in on this. Can't wait for it. Don't have to wait too terribly long. It is dropping in a time frame that is announced here, May 5th. So we get to see this May 5th. I should know that because it's already on our Full Fat Spoiler Chat. Duh. Anyway, I'm a huge fan. Can't wait. All right. This is rumor / inside sources stories, but it's about casting for Dune Part 2. And the rumors are that on your right there, you of course have Florence Pugh there as Yelena Belova from Black Widow, also from Midsommar and so many other things. She is rumored to be, or Deadline's inside sources say she is going to be cast as Princess Irulan, the daughter of the Emperor. And on your left, you have the actor Austin Butler, as he is going to appear as Elvis in the upcoming Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie. And their inside sources say he is close to being signed to play Fade Rautha. I would love both of these castings. I would love Florence Pugh as Irulan. I like the look of Austin Butler, but frankly, the only thing I've seen him in, and this was kind of sad when I realized it, is that he played Will, the lead character in Shannara Chronicles, MTV's pretty sad attempt to make a Game of Thrones for young adults. And he was okay. The series was terrible. So it doesn't, I don't have a really good way of judging how good he was because he had garbage to work with. But he's been around forever. He's a Disney kid, from Hannah Montana and so on. So and I'm assuming he probably can actually sing, which may be why he was cast for this. So if that's the case, if he can sing, it actually sort of keeps in the tradition of casting singing pretty boys as Fade Rautha, because Sting played him in the 1980s movie. So we'll stick with this and find out whether or not these are in fact real castings. Neither one of these have been updated on Deadline to say that it's actually true. And of course, Warner Brothers has said nothing. They have not confirmed at all. So, but I can't wait for Dune Part 2. Dune was fantastic. Denis Villeneuve is just the best science fiction director out there right now. Looking forward to it. And particularly if these two are in it, particularly Florence Pugh. All right, folks, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a long back and forth between me and whoever else is going to be on. And unfortunately, nobody else could make it. So I'm going to try to go through this as quickly and as easily as I can. But you've probably all seen this news. These are people protesting in Florida for what is called the Don't Say Gay bill, which is probably going to be signed very soon by Governor Ron DeSantis. It's been passed by both House and the Senate, State House and Senate in Florida. You've probably seen this in the news, is that Disney new CEO Bob Chapek basically just shot himself in the foot with his initial comments about what this means to people in Disney and fans of Disney and so on. So it started out with somebody brought up the fact within Disney that, why isn't Disney saying anything or doing anything about this, in response to the fact that, somebody posted Disney corporate donations to the state legislators who had voted yes on this bill. And there were 55 of them. Now, it's a complicated world. Those people also vote on zoning and entertainment rules and so on. So, obviously Disney is initially, one can assume, and partially one can assume, supporting them for the needs of making sure that Disney World and its empire in Florida is taken care of. It still looks really bad when you're supporting somebody who basically is, saying you can't talk about somebody being gay to anybody under third grade. So what happened is he then sent out a memo to employees that said that they think this is, obviously a very bad bill, but their strategy is to fight with content that presents LGBTQIA plus people in a positive light and, quote unquote, leave the politics. This is the way he said it, but leave the politicking to politics or politicians. And then people just went nuts. The obvious hypocrisy of the fact that they've been donating to so many of the people who voted to this bill means that they are not, in fact, leaving the politics to the politicians. And the fact that representation in Disney is garbage all across the board in any kind of representation. In the last 10 years, they have started paying lip service to it. And that's pretty much it. If they think it can make them money, they will use a classic gay, non-binary, trans, whatever term you want to use, for whichever person they are stealing from at that point, as the inspiration for a villain. Ursula is divine. 100%, they've admitted Ursula is based on divine. Ursula is a villain, a terrible villain. Their villains have always been coded gay. Their depiction in a positive way of anything LGBTQIA plus is almost non-existent. So it struck a nerve, to not say the least. And so far, among the people who have, or groups who have talked out about it, their animation division, employees of their animation division have spoken out saying that response was garbage. The employees of Pixar have spoken out saying that, and this is a quote from the statement that they sent to Disney. Finally, we come to the push for content as the answer. Bob Chapek said that our content will be how we will respond to this. We at Pixar have personally witnessed beautiful stories full of diverse characters come back from Disney corporate reviews shaved down to crumbs of what they once were. Nearly every moment of overtly gay affection is cut at Disney's behest, regardless of when there is protest from both the creative teams and executive leadership at Pixar. Clearly, Chapek was just blowing it out his butt. He did not mean that their content will speak for them, because not only has it never, they have deliberately squashed any of the content that could speak for the LGBTQIA plus community that makes up so much of the Disney fandom. So he walked that back hard, or tried to. Finally, when he knew he was going to get roasted at their recent investor conference on March 9th, he said that basically they were putting a pause on all political support for any candidates while they look at how they can properly deal with the kind of support for the marginalized communities that are part of their viewership. He got spanked by the public, and he is either now further glad-handing to put it off, or maybe they are actually going to do something about this. So the very, very latest on this is that... I gotta find the right one here that just dropped today. Disney's own employees... their LGBTQIA plus employees will be staging walkouts starting today. Or have staged, I guess. Now, so many of their employees are still working remotely, so as they point out here, this is not going to be an enormous public spectacle, because there aren't that many who are actually working at parks or at the headquarters. But Chapek has promised that they will continue discussion with the employees at Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow Summit, which is apparently a thing that they're doing, on April 14th. 1 month from now is when he is going to address this with the employees that are staging walkouts. So, yeah. Maybe pressure will cause Disney to really do the right thing, like they did with, with rehiring James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy, when they realized that they were literally railroaded by an alt-right group into making an absolute knee-jerk dumbass decision that would satisfy, unfortunately, their huge number of alt-right supporters. Walt's dead, guys. You don't need to support the anti-Semite anymore. Get with the program. The LGBTQIA community is Disney's core audience. It's not the little kids that you think it is. If your internal surveys and documentation doesn't say that, then you're doing it wrong. So, yeah. This reaction should absolutely tell you that, Mr. Chapek. But anyway, there's enough of that. We'll continue on this. We'll find out, if anything happens going forward with this. DeSantis is going to sign the bill. It's clear that that's going to be a platform for his 2024 presidential run. He's rounding up the hate troops and bringing them right with him. And that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's seen DeSantis's work. If you get a DeSantis Abbott double ticket, coming into the election in 2024, every bigot and racist and homophobe will flock to that ticket. Anyway, done. So, our last two topics, much nicer, much happier topics. The very first trailer for the Disney Plus MCU series Ms. Marvel dropped today. It looks really cool. I love the sort of almost Mitchell versus the Machines integration of artwork, high school sketching in the Edge of Notebooks kind of stuff. that punctuates some of the trailer, and hopefully punctuates some of the actual series. I would love to have that as part of the series. It did throw me for a loop. So I started reading Ms. Marvel right from the get-go. I love the concept. I loved the nature of the character. She's an Inhuman. She is a Pakistani American, a Muslim American. She's from Jersey City, not from New York. Everything was cool about this. And idolizes Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. And I had always pronounced her name Kamala Khan. And then, of course, we get our vice president, Kamala Harris. And so I started with nothing other than the ability to read the comic books, pronouncing it Kamala Khan. Well, they make it very clear in here where she corrects one of her fellow classmates that it is Kamala. It is Kamala Khan. So it's going to take me a while to readjust getting back to that pronunciation, but, this old white guy can do it. And if this old white guy can do it, you can do it. The other thing that kind of throws me for a loop, doesn't make me any less excited for the series, but they are definitely changing the nature of the way her powers and abilities work. One, because I think it's been made very clear that the Inhumans and the Inhumans appearing in S.H.I.E.L.D., that's an alternate universe. Now, with the multiverse, who knows, it could obviously be part of this. But if this takes place in the main MCU, and she's a character in the main MCU, which she clearly is, then having an Inhuman-based power would be weird. You'd have to explain how those characters exist when they technically don't in the MCU version of the multiverse. But I get why they would do it. It's really easy to make body parts that grow really big, giant hands, put that really, there we go, giant hands, look stupid. If you look at some of the worst effects of the Fantastic Four duology with Michael Chiklis, Ewan Griffith as Mr. Fantastic, the stretchy one, some of that stuff just looked dumb. Having it an energy power base that she utilizes to do similar things, kind of Green Lantern-esque, makes more sense from a visual effects and impressiveness of visual effects standpoint. Probably ties in more with the nature of the way Captain Marvel got her powers as well. So, but if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It looks really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. Iman Vellani, an absolute newcomer, is wonderful. She's going to be really funny. She clearly has a comic sense. Excellent comic timing. Looks good. Check it out, folks. And the thumbnail topic, aside from just being a source of an awful lot of really funny memes, the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped, and I looked at that, and it looks, every frame of it looks like the episode of The Mandalorian, the episode of the Book of Boba Fett, I think it's episode 5, when the Mandalorian goes to that ring world. It looks like it was made by a different studio. And that's just how amazing it looks. You get to see a Grand Inquisitor. It's fantastic. You get to see the first looks at Anakin or at Darth. It's just so good. I can't wait to see this. It's going to be so refreshing after the pretty big disappointment that was Book of Boba Fett. So whoever is in charge of the production design and the actual visual effects and production work on this needs to be elevated to the level of overseer of all production work at all Disney Plus Star Wars series, please. But yeah, go check it out, folks. It's wonderful. great seeing Ewan McGregor back. Great seeing Joel Edgerton back as Owen Lars, Uncle Owen, the younger version, of course. It's Rupert Friend who is playing Grand Inquisitor. Yeah, definitely. I'm very keen on seeing the rest of this. And again, we don't have to wait that long. We only have to wait until May 25th. So May's going to be a pretty busy month for all sorts of things. We got a bunch of cons in May, and we've got all of this great content to watch. All right, folks, I ran longer than I would say. I'm going to wrap this up. If you get a chance, please go check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/nerdcaliber. Love to have you be a patron if you feel like you would like to help support us get more content for YouTube, for the website, and so on. We've got upcoming cons. We'll be at Wicked Comic Con in the Western Waterfront April 9th. We'll be at PAX East with a big team plus our panel, the Cosplay and Photography Shootout. That's going to be Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. in Arachnid. And that's at the end of April. And May, Free Comic Book Day in May, of course. In the end of May, we'll have a big team at Anime Boston, but also we will have part of our team will be staffing Anime Boston as I am running their photo department. So if you are looking to get your cosplay photos, and if you're still watching this or you watch it later and you know you're going to Anime Boston and you want to get the cosplay photos that you would normally get at Nerd Caliber, come to room 102, where the cosplay photo studio will be, and that's where you'll be able to get your photos, which will appear both on Nerd Caliber and on the Anime Boston website, or the Anime Boston's gallery site, which is a different website. Well, anyway. So you'll get to be able to download them for free from either or both. Why not? Maybe one download works better. Who knows? So we'll see you at an upcoming con. Please, people, stay safe out there. Enjoy the warming weather. I sure am. I haven't worn my long sleeve undershirt underneath here in I don't know how long. Well, 2 days, but okay. And we'll see you at an upcoming show. Stay safe,